These are top 10 shocking government secrets told on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Episode number 1327, Joe Rogan and ex-CIA agent Mike Baker discuss secret government tech hidden from the public.
I guess I'm talking about it now. I'm not supposed to. But we're looking at military government organizations that are typically in the shadows, right? We're not releasing any sources and methods. We're not disclosing any classified secrets. But we're talking about elements and units, operational activity, events that before now have pretty much been in the shadows, and some incredible people. That's one of the best parts about this thing. It's been going out there and meeting some of these guys that are doing some of this high-speed shit. And it's pretty amazing. And
when they do release things, like long after, like I was reading something, I forget what the case was about, but it was something about how the files won't be released under the Freedom of Information Act until 2080. Mm-hmm. Well, how do you?
Yeah, I know.
How do they make that like that was the thing with the Kennedy assassination, right?
And sometimes they roll it over, and it's not even then, right? So sometimes they extend that. Other times they don't, and so some information comes to light periodically. And so this does look at this show will be looking at some historic, but a lot of current things that are going on, and where the money goes, right? What are we spending our money on when it comes to this high-speed operations that the special forces and others are involved in? So it'll be very good. I was lucky to be able to work with, again, some really great people on the production side, but just also going out there and meeting some of these cats. They're just the shit that they do is even after being around a while, as I have. It just amazes me.
Well, it's got to be constantly accelerating too, right? They're constantly coming up with new and spectacular things that nobody knows about until they employ them.
Right, exactly. And sometimes that shit stays on the shelf, right? It was like the running joke at the agency at the CIA was, we have a fantastic S&T group, a science and technology group, and they're the ones responsible, like Q from Bond, right? Mm-hmm. They're the ones responsible for developing all the gear, responding to specific operational requirements. How are we going to do this particular thing? Well, let's develop a piece of kit that's going to allow us to do it. But the running joke is always that, they'll develop it and they'll show it to you before an operation, but then they'll put it back on the shelf because they don't want that shit getting out there, right? And people finding out that they've got it. So they'll give you like a 20-year-old piece of kit to use instead, and you'll be walking around with like a phone the size of a brick, knowing that they've got something high speed on the shelf.
Well, that's what everybody always thinks. Like when you talk to the average Joe on the street about technology in the government, they're always like, dude, the stuff they have that they probably don't tell us about. How much of that is real?
Yeah, it's pretty real.
Have you seen some stuff that made you go, holy shit?
Yes.
They can do that?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. And
how much can you tell us?
Well, you know what? One thing that they're doing, and this is actually something I wanted to talk about today, because it's going to affect everybody. It's not just something that is going to affect people in the military or else in the intelligence community. But one of the things that they've been working on is, imagine you've got to rock up on a target. And before you do that, before you get the customers on site, and you're going to hopefully obtain some high value targets there at that location. Before you do that, you got
talking like euphemisms.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before you're going to nuke people.
Yeah. Before you're going to go in there,
blow terrorists into another dimension.
Well, sometimes okay. Actually, I was going to say sometimes you want to actually capture them and get their intelligence. We've gone past that, right? Because the years where we were getting our ass kicked for holding on to people in detention facilities, you know what that did? That pretty much convinced everybody that was involved in this to just whack them, right? Because then you don't have to deal with the aftermath. You don't have to worry about, are you going to get in trouble for interrogating somebody? Right, exactly. So that actually increased the lethality of operations. You started painting targets and just blowing the shit out of there rather than trying to grab the target and get their intel. That's a problem because then the pipeline dries up for the intel. But anyway, so imagine you got this site. The first thing you got to do is determine if your target's there, right? And it's not like that, the Tom Clancy movies where, you're looking through walls and all this shit. That technology, night vision devices, and that ability in low light conditions to monitor and to identify specific individuals has always been a problem. They've made great strides on it to the point now where in no light conditions, right, with the right stacked database, with the right information in that database, meaning the right amount of information about individuals, right? You constantly populating this database with new faces or with new photographs of individuals that you're going after. With enough of that to sift through, they're getting to the point now with no light conditions that they can identify positively the targets in that room or the targets in that facility or in that building, whatever it might be. And that's pretty incredible.
I read that they can identify people by their heart rate.
Well, not just their heart rate, but I mean other biodata, right? I mean other.
But they can literally, with video, somehow or another, they can zoom in on you with some scanner and recognize that this is a particular individual because of their heart rate.
Yeah.
There was an article that was written about it, and I know that there's a company. Do you know what HECS is? HECS. It's a company that's been used pretty extensively by scuba diving community and now by the hunting community as well, because it blocks the electrical signal. HECS. It blocks the electrical signal that your body gives off.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think they're doing work with the military as well to develop suits that will somehow or another stop someone from being able to recognize your particular heart rate.
Right, and there's a lot of work on what they call the sort of the universal soldier.
Pentagon has a laser that I can identify people from a distance by their heartbeat.
Yeah,
it helps.
It helps if you have other data points, right? If you, but this is all part of, to some degree, what they refer to as the universal soldier, right? The fighter of tomorrow. And
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, well, there you go. That shit? That's right.
Remember that?
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't remember Jean? Although he's doing like chip commercials now.
Is he?
Sure. You haven't seen him in a Doritos or whatever.
Dude, 70.
It is true.
Still do the splits.
Yeah. Well,
props.
Yeah. I don't know when that becomes useful, though. Really,
the splits?
I don't see the splits. I mean, I've never actually, felt that was something I needed to accomplish in any given moment from an operational perspective.
If you're doing karate movies where you have to do the splits, it's true. Very important.
It's true. But so the universal soldier thing, where you're it's the exoskeleton, it's the soft suit, it's all the data that you can acquire for that warfighter. How do you create the perfect environment on that individual as he's moving through an environment to be a more efficient, effective, lethal fighter? And things like that, identifying target, whether it's with a laser, whether it's with low light or no light conditions, where as you're rocking up on the target, you can do that. All these things, the ability to carry more gear, right? Hump it another extra, 10 kilometers, whatever it might be. It's pretty incredible what they're doing, and it's a joint. It's not just the military. They're working with companies like HECS, or they're working with the commercial sector and academics too. But anyway, I don't know. I disappeared down a rabbit hole.
The idea of like this universal soldier thing. Have you been paying attention to this Elon Musk Neuralink thing that he's coming out with, where they're going to somehow or another insert fibers into your brain and then have a Bluetooth-enabled device that you wear that's going to allow you to somehow or another interface with data at a much higher bandwidth? I don't know what the fuck any of those words mean I just said.
But that was good, though. That was good. It sounded like you understood it.
That's my trick.
So
repeat words.
Yeah, there comes a point. If you're talking about, that's going into a different area. That's going into civilian applications,
but I think the military application would be great for that too. If everyone could synchronize data, you could give them navigation in their head. Like if there's some sort of augmented reality where you could literally see the targets in front of you. Like if you had a map, say like if the Pentagon really does have this laser beam that can identify specific individuals, and you have a map of a building that's in your head, and they can identify the very location, absolute perfect location of each individual person in that room, and you could see that as you're running into this building. You're seeing like a 3D grid in front of you, and you could shoot them right through a fucking wall.
Right, and there does become a problem then. There becomes a problem of information overload, and when you get into that situation, right, everything starts to close down a little bit, right, and so you've got to start pushing some of that away, and now what you end up doing is you get the offsite, command center relaying some of that information as needed. But that guy that's about to breach that door, he doesn't want a lot of data points anymore. Now, having said that, knowing where the hostiles are on the other side of that door, that is key information. That's not rocket science. But so but there's a lot that's going on. There's also the ability to monitor health of the individual, soldiers that are out there through the gear that they would then be wearing. It's an incredible effort that has been going on. And so to answer your point, a long rambling answer, yeah, I've seen some things that are pretty amazing.
You can't talk about it, though.
No. Some of this shit actually we'll get into with the new show that's coming up sometime in fall. I don't have a release date, and again, I'm prescribed from talking about it, so I won't do that because I pay attention.
Some of the things that you saw, you'll be able to talk about.
Yes.
So how does the government do that? They just decide, well, listen, it's not a bad thing if you tell people about this.
I think that's right. Yeah, I mean, well, I think there's an element of some of it's not what you would refer to as classified. It's just not readily available public information, and it's not out there in the domain because people aren't aware of it or searching for it. Some of it does. I think you're right. Some of it is. Look, the military wants to say at times, look what we're able to do. We're doing this, and oftentimes it's because it's in a sort of a private-public cooperation, right? And so that encourages other companies with innovative technologies to step forward and get involved in some of this. And I guess that opens up all sorts of other, some people are out there saying, well, they shouldn't be working with the military. Well, fuck.
Episode number 1287. Joe Rogan and Rich Benoit joke about secret alien tech and how its revelation could change humanity.
If the aliens came to you and said, Rich, we're going to give you this technology,
whatever it is, it's probably going to be yes,
but
go
you
on.
Can't tell anyone else.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to?
What technology? Like,
what if the government brings you to Area 51 like Bob Lazar, and they bring you down into the base, and they show you an alien spacecraft, and they go, we're going to let you examine this. We know that you love to tinker and back engineer things, but you can't tell anybody. Are you in?
I'd do it in a heartbeat. Why the hell not?
Because you owe us, the rest of the human race. Like these fucking assholes in the government, they're going to keep you from telling us the truth?
Yeah.
Don't you think it would affect the whole world if we knew the truth?
Honestly, I'd probably tell everyone anyways, because the fact that they called the Tesla guy to go down there, of course he's going to rat them out.
Well, that's who I would call. If I was the government, I wouldn't call some respectable scientist from Stanford. Because that guy's... I would call some dude who would be like easily discredited. Some guy who maybe like... Maybe, is a little fudgy with his science reports.
Suspicious.
And maybe plagiarized a little bit in college, but he knows his shit.
That's me, yeah.
But no, I would go with some guy who's, what is that, autodactic? Is that the word where someone learns themselves? Is that what the word is?
Whatever.
There's a lot, right? Is that the word?
Yeah.
There's a lot of geniuses out there that just don't have the credentials. Very smart people. They're
An
just
autodidact,
weird.
yes.
Yeah,
Autodidact?
autodidact. Yeah. Take that guy. And
Would
bring
you
him.
do that?
No, I'd tell everybody.
Why?
100%.
Why do you?
Because I wouldn't trust those assholes.
You don't owe anyone anything.
Because I would want everyone to know.
What are they going to do with it? They're just going to
I
freak
wouldn't
out.
be able to live with myself.
Really?
100%. Yeah. If the government wants to tell me some secrets, let me tell you something. I'll tell everybody.
Yeah. Would you say that first?
I would definitely tell them I'm telling everybody.
Really?
I would say, don't show it to me.
Really?
Yeah, I would say don't show it to me.
But that's not progressing the human race forward, because the goal is for you to see it and confirm it, right? You want to see it, confirm it, and tell everyone. What are you going to say? Go on Instagram.
I don't want to die, and I don't want them to kill me. So I would say, listen,
you think they wouldn't kill you for that? Would they kill you?
Maybe people have died already, and we don't know.
Damn, it's deep.
Maybe, bro.
Yeah.
Look into it. I don't know. It would be a thing where I would, in all honesty, depends on what stage of my life. If I was 30 years old and they said, I'm going to show you this, but you can't show anybody, are you willing? I'd be like, yeah, sure, show me. But at 50, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not making any deals. I don't want to make a deal where you tell me that I can't tell anybody about something. I mean, it's one thing if it's a business thing. Like, hey, Apple's going to show you the new iPhone. Don't tell anybody. Oh, for sure, I won't tell anybody.
Right.
Fine.
But a government.
This is something that could affect the human race.
How would the confirmation of aliens affect the human race, you think? Yes, there are aliens. Now what? What are we going to do?
Realistically, you would have to have confirmation that was undeniable, and your own eyewitness testimony is not good enough.
They'll just think you're crazy. They'll shoot you anyways.
Exactly. They'll just think you're a fool, and they'll just make you look like a dunce, and no one. It would actually probably help their cause,
right?
Because no one would ever believe you, and no one would take aliens seriously after that, which is one of the arguments for like what they actually did with Project Blue Book. Like, there was a guy named Philip Corso, and J. Allen Hynek was the guy who was running Project Blue Book, and one of the things that they famously said after it was over that they would just try to debunk things and make these things look foolish.
Yeah.
And that anything they found that they couldn't explain, they just tucked away. But the things that they could explain, even if the explanation didn't jive, they came up with an explanation just to make people realize that aliens were bullshit.
Right.
But he, through the course of Project Blue Book studying, now you have to ask this question. Through the end of it, he decided that aliens were real and that we had been contacted.
Yeah.
However, you always have to question whether someone is doing that because this is a new avenue for them to make money.
Yeah.
Is this a new stream of revenue? I'm going to do the lecture circuit. I'm going to write books. I mean, if you're a guy who worked for Project Blue Book and then they shut Project Blue Book down, you don't have any more money.
Yeah, you're broke.
And you decide, well, I don't want to work for the government anymore. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write stories about UFOs. I'm
going to start a podcast.
Fuck these assholes.
Right.
I mean, J. Allen Hynek died a long time ago, I believe, right? Google J. Allen Hynek Project Blue Book UFOs.
All right.
I'm pretty sure there's interviews where afterwards he said he is sure after all of his time studying that there is and has been some contact with extraterrestrial entities.
So what do you think?
I don't know. See, me personally, I have zero experience, right?
Right. Well,
so
who does have experience?
Someone might. What do you got? What are you laughing at?
Man, I don't want to talk about it yet.
You don't want to talk
I'm
about
not
it
ready to
yet?
talk about it yet.
Talk
Stuff
about it
I've
now.
been looking into
Go ahead.
about this topic. This guy worked at that company I've told you about.
In Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah, he also was a teacher of physics and astronomy at Ohio State in 1936.
Dun, dun, dun. So you think there's some real shit going down?
Bum, bum, bum.
Maybe.
You think some real shit's going down?
I don't know about all the alien technologies or actually like what beings or aliens or something. There's something going on, and it has to do with that company, and it has to do with everything you're talking about in Project Blue Book. I don't know what it is though.
That's very vague.
I know.
Super
That's
vague.
All you
I
said
don't want to
was,
make.
something's going on, guys.
I can't because to me it doesn't seem fair to just go with the big conspiracy, but there are facts that you can look up and find.
So once you get to the bottom of your investigation, you'll have a report for us?
Sure, yeah, we'll talk to you. I'm not ready to because it sounds
guys,
a little
something's
too
going
crazy
on.
right now.
Right.
I want to leave some of the crazy stuff out.
Yeah, it's one of those subjects that inherently starts looking crazy until aliens show up. If
Right.
there was like that, what was that movie? What was the recent movie with the where they spoke in like smoke?
Oh God.
Was
Arrival?
that big
Arrival,
Arrival?
yeah.
If something like that shows up, then all of a sudden our perceptions completely change.
It's like, oh, wait.
it's undeniable. There's like some giant Los Angeles-sized thing floating over
That
the
would just suck
continental
us all
U.S.
up, yeah.
We'd be like, okay, all right.
So that's the thing. So why would you? So if let's just say we had a microscope, right? Periscope, whatever you call it, to look into space really
Telescope.
far. Telescope, yeah, periscope. If I wasn't a submarine,
we all live.
so, and we see an alien, colony,
Yes.
unlike Mars. What would we do?
We'd study it.
Yeah.
We'd try to communicate with it. But would that be a good move? Like, what if they came over to us and they'll go, oh, look at these fucking dumb chimps.
Do they
Look at
think?
these.
You think any foreign or alien species would think we're idiots?
100% of them
Really?
would think we're idiots.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're advanced to the point where they've gotten control over their emotions and anger.
Right.
I mean, just think about how much tribal warfare goes on still in America, in the world. How much warfare is taking place. How many people are dying? How many innocent people are dying? Drones, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
They'd be aware of all that. They'd be aware of our polluting of the environment. They'd be aware of our depleting the ocean of its fish. They're just pulling in giant nets filled with
catching
fish. They'd
fish
be
and
like,
eating 'em.
what the fuck are
Yeah.
you people doing? They'd be looking at coal plants and the president of the United States, the greatest superpower the world's ever known, saying things like clean coal.
Oh.
Like clean coal.
What do you? So what do you think? Okay, so someone comes to visit us, right? What's the
Right.
dumbest thing that they're going to notice the first? You can say, "Oh wow, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen." What's the number one thing you visit our planet? The number one dumbest thing they're going to see and be
They're
like,
probably going to think the pollution's the number one dumbest. Like you guys are shitting in the environment that you need to sustain you.
All right.
You're doing this it's not like you don't have the resources to fix
With
that.
infinite money.
Yeah, we have incredible amounts of money, but yet the money's not going towards that.
Yeah.
Massive resources should be going to removing carbon from the atmosphere, removing particulates from the
The
atmosphere.
environment, right.
Yeah, like brake dust and all the shit that's in these cities.
Yeah.
And when these cars are constantly slamming on their brakes, that dust that you have to clean off your wheels, that shit's everywhere.
Yeah, right. It's in your lungs, baby.
It's fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And it takes years off people's lives. It absolutely does. They would look at all that. They would look at why aren't they looking at that? Like why don't they have some sort of system in place to mitigate all the problems they've created in terms of like they got rid of plastic straws.
Right, yeah.
Keep the caps though. Keep the bottles.
Caps are fine.
Keep the tabs that you pull off of things. Keep plastic wrap. Everything's plastic.
What do you think of those new disintegrating straws, by the way?
Ridiculous.
It's like, oh, God,
I want to keep around a stainless steel one.
You should, but you have to clean it though. I was thinking about that same thing.
You can just stab somebody if somebody attacks you. If you get one with a good
sharp
point,
in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I stab
just
your throat?
punch a hole through them like that Walking Dead crossbow bolt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the big one that they would get. They would go, wow, these people are crazy. The other thing they would say is the nuclear power thing. Like when you find out things like the Fukushima plant, they didn't have any sort of backup plan to shut it down.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what happens if your generator goes out. Oh, well, we're fucked.
Well,
and now it's
nothing really.
Nuclear meltdown and everything dies forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't plan on that. Like that, the fact that they built these plants and they have no idea how to shut them off. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
The aliens are probably like, these people are out of their fucking mind. They're smart enough to figure out how to harness nuclear power, but what they use it for is to generate steam.
Yeah.
Constant, and it has to stay on forever. That's why they put them near the oceans. Like these guys are assholes.
Episode number 2300. Joe Rogan and Kyle Dunnigan discuss Oliver Stone's insights on JFK's assassination and how Kennedy's secret society speech may have led 1900. Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe discuss the JFK assassination, shadow elites, and the eerie truth behind Kennedy's warning.
That is the place. Like I think if I had the choice, if there was one place where I could go in a time machine and just peek for like an hour, just look around, and then come back to present day, I think that would be the spot. I'd want to see what Egypt was like when they were building the pyramids, like in the middle of construction, when they were at their peak, when they were building the Great Pyramid of Giza. Like, what was society like? Like, what were the people like? If you could just be a fly on the wall and no one knew you were there. You see, if they saw you, they'd be like, what are you doing? What is this thing on your wrist? Who are you? Why your teeth look so good? How come you don't look deformed?
I'd go back to the I'd be on the grassy knoll that day with JFK.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
That's a good one too.
Would you be on the grassy knoll or would you be in the book depository? See, if you're in the book depository, then you know that Lee Harvey Oswald isn't there.
I think he may have even been there. I think he may have even been firing, but I don't believe that he was the only one.
I'm with you. That's exactly what I think. I think he could have been in on it, and maybe he didn't even fire it.
Right.
But when he said that he was a patsy, you know, the way he said it, when he got arrested, he said, "I'm just a patsy." That's like a guy who knew he was going to get in trouble for something.
Yeah.
That's not like a regular guy. He was not a regular guy. They easily could have talked him into doing something fucked up, and then they did something as well and blamed it all on him, and they had him set up for it.
Yeah.
He seemed like a wacky dude.
Someone that did that and made that shot and really wanted him dead would own it. Quite the opposite. At that point, you're not trying to not go to prison.
Well, maybe he is, but it didn't seem like it. He didn't seem like a guy who just shot someone. He also didn't seem like a guy who was shocked that he was getting arrested for something. But you could make someone a patsy back then. That was real. You could set someone up. And then you hired Jack Ruby to just run up on the guy and shoot him. And he just did it. Now the guy's dead. Jack Ruby drops the gun. They put him in a nice jail cell. I don't know if he was in a nice jail cell. I have no idea.
And then what happened to Jack Ruby? Something happened to him,
Died
right?
in jail. Got cancer.
How much do you know about those three guys that they thought might have been it?
Maybe that's John Gotti.
The three hobos or the three guys under the bridge?
Well, one of them was Woody Harrelson's dad.
Yeah, they were in the CIA, I read, or they thought
Something.
they were. Who knows?
Look, Kennedy was not a popular guy by any stretch of the imagination with a giant chunk of the population. Think about if as many people hate Trump right now. If that's only I don't know how many people hated Kennedy, but I know that the Bay of Pigs was a huge disaster. A lot of military people hated him for that. Supposedly he wanted to get rid of the NSA. Supposedly he wanted to get rid of he wanted to do something about the Federal Reserve. There was a lot of things that he wanted to do, apparently. Maybe it was the CIA. I think it was the CIA. He was trying to disband one of those. But he had a disdain for secrecy and secret societies. You know, like that. There was a lot of these like Skull and Bones type things that like George W. Bush was in, or Herbert Walker Bush, rather, his dad. Was George G.W. in Skull and Bones too?
They both were, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all that wacky shit. Like, what are you doing? You dressing up like a druid? What are you doing? Are you burning an effigy? You know, a lot of people thought that was all fake until Alex Jones and John Ronson was with him, right?
At the
Yes.
I don't know who was with him actually.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Google that. Make sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure it was Ronson. I'm pretty sure Ronson was. I know it was. He was talking about it. He was talking about it on the podcast about, you know, like that they couldn't believe what they found. So this is this place, Bohemian Grove, and the idea was that all the elites would go there and they would engage in these occult rituals.
This is in America?
Yeah, it's in California.
Oh.
It's like Northern California. And so you hear about this and you're like, what? Like, if you heard about that, like, hey, there's a place. Former presidents go, top-ranking generals and heads of state and bankers and famous artists. They go to this place and they do occult rituals. They perform occult rituals.
Part 4 of The Secret Rulers of the World, directed by John Ronson. He travels with Alex Jones too.
There you go.
What's that, Netflix?
I don't know where you could find it at the moment. It was on.
You can definitely see it on YouTube.
Right.
You can definitely see the interaction on YouTube. So Alex films these people worshiping Moloch the owl god and doing this thing. He completely sneaks in, just acts like he belongs there. Just let him in. They have a gate, guarded gate. Just fucking, hey, how you doing? He looks like a Republican. Yeah. They let him through. He is there filming them. They have an effigy, like a bunch of straw and shit that's supposed to represent a person that you're sacrificing to Moloch the owl god. They're dressed in these crazy hoods. They put the effigy down. They say they have those loudspeakers. And they have this crazy speech they give. It's so weird. But these are like legitimate, wealthy, famous people, politicians. These people are heads of banks and shit. And they're going there and they're dressing up. This is real. Right. Like, this isn't like you hear things like that. You're like, well, that's nonsense, right? That's nonsense. That doesn't really happen. There's not a real like Bilderberg meeting. They don't really get together and fucking pretend they're burning hookers.
They really do.
They really do. Yeah. And so he films this. And like, it's one of the first things that got me thinking about conspiracies. As much as you can think that Alex is a wacky guy, and he's certainly eccentric. And he's not always right, you know, and that's part of the problem when you're being lied to left and right by so many different things. You can get real off on things, and he did.
Right.
He's gotten, it's been beaten into the ground. But the fact is that there are a certain amount of these things out there like that. And if it wasn't for Alex releasing that video, I think most people would think that's nonsense. But when you see that video, you have to go, okay, what is this? What is going on? Are they really dressing up? Is this really an occult ritual? What is this? Have you ever seen it?
No.
Pull up a video Bohemian Grove just so we can watch the video.
The pictures and stuff, because the video that he has is really blurry and
but you'd have to hear it too, because there's like a booming loudspeaker. Yeah. But see what you can see. It's kind of blurry, but these guys, I mean, he there's like, it's famous, this place.
So do you think these people all work with each other?
He's got this hidden camera footage of these people with torches dressed up like druids going over, and they're carrying the effigy, and then they're going to sacrifice it and light it on fire. Like, dude, this is like really rich, famous, powerful people are all here watching this. Like, look at that. Back that up so we can hear what it's, or we can read what it says. Back it up a little bit.
I just got someone's talking over it too.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear it, Jamie. I just want to see the writing.
Yeah, well, it keeps going.
Yeah, but can't you? No. What I'm saying is, make it so I can't hear it. And mass rends the stones of Babylon. Like, so they're like, what do they even say? Play it out a little bit. Like, look at this. For beauty is eternal. So they have this, and we bow to beauty everlasting. It's a very strange shit. So they're yelling this out. This guy's got this on a loudspeaker, and they're engaging in this ritual. And then they bring over this effigy and they light it on fire. They have a boat in the water. Like, it's weird, dude. Just imagine being a guy who's worth $1 billion, and this is what you do for fun. You're going to get together with Mike and Harry, who runs Microsoft, and you're all going to go and pretend you're burning something. Like, look at this.
But did they become billionaires and then do this, or is it a chicken and the egg?
That's the question. That's what people think, like, about the elites, right? People think they're, well, and in some families, it is true.
I mean, if these people are all meeting up once a year to burn a stack of hay shaped like a lady, why wouldn't they invest in each other and, you know?
Of course.
They're all bankers and successful.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing about Skull and Bones, is that they all had something on you. Everyone knew something. Because you all sucked everybody's dick and took Polaroids of it and dressed up like a munchkin. You know, I mean, that's what they all did. They did some wacky shit. Like, they probably all got fucked.
It's hard to think like what you could have had on somebody before porn search history.
They probably all fucked each other. Right. There probably was one guy who was like the top Skull and Bones guy, and he's just really into fucking dudes, and he just convinced everybody, you know, it'd be a crazy thing, man. How about we have a group, super secret group, and you can't tell anybody about it. How are we gonna stop people from telling people? I know. We're going to film me fucking him in the ass. And really, he's just trying to fuck these guys in the ass. That's his goal, is just to fuck guys in the ass. He's like, man, this is getting harder and harder to trick these dudes. I need to figure out a new way. So he comes up with this super exclusive elite club. It's called Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
Do you want in? Yeah, well, we ought to be able to trust you. You can trust me. I won't tell anybody. I don't believe you, Timmy. Timmy, I don't believe you. I think you would tell. We're going to have something on you. Well, I mean, what do you mean? We're going to have you do something that you don't want to do. And that way, if you ever say anything about us, we'll tell everybody about you. I mean, I really do want to be in the club. Well, guarantee you that's how it went down.
That's crazy.
One alpha gay dude just tricked a bunch of guys.
Isn't that?
And if it's not Skull and Bones, maybe they don't do that. But there's a group out there that does. Yeah. There's one of those groups. One of those crazy groups that's just run by a dude who's just donking dudes. Right now he's 35. He's still in college. Everybody's like, Mike, why do you still go to school here? Someone's got to make sure.
That's how everything starts, right? All these.
That's the boneyard. The bone house. The bone house. That our ethics are true. I'm here to uphold the strictest interpretation of the boneyard's rules. And I don't trust you.
Gotta show your commitment.
Yeah, everybody bathes in oil first. It's like, why are we in oil? What's going on? Just these weird fucking secret societies. You ever heard the Kennedy speech about secret societies? It's fucking creepy. When it turns out that he eventually gets murdered, it's creepy.
Did you watch
See The Irishman? Hey.
No,
Jinx?
didn't see it.
No.
Good? It's about,
alert.
yeah.
Half the movie's about that.
Yeah, no, it is good. So many people told me that they hated it that I was shocked when I watched it, and it was good.
Pull up Kennedy's speech about secret societies. Because Kennedy had this speech about secret societies that many people have speculated had to do with the CIA or had to do with...
The movie brings up an angle I didn't know, is that he hired his brother to become the attorney general, and he started going after...
Yes,
them.
the mob.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, he did right after they helped him get into office. Well, here's the other thing about the Kennedys. They were drug dealers. 100%.
Bootleggers.
Yes, they were selling whiskey. Or moonshine, or whatever the fuck it was.
The movie says the dad was too old at the time to get a hold of his sons. Like, they were trying to get old man Kennedy to tell his kids, crack the whip, get him in line, but they couldn't get to him because he was just staring out windows.
Oh, he was done already. Yeah, that makes sense. Listen, man, they were illegal alcohol salesmen. They made a bunch of money selling alcohol illegally, just like a drug dealer does. Same thing. The fact that those folks went on to become this incredibly powerful family, and then two brothers get publicly assassinated, fucking A, man. Two of them. The fact that you can keep guys around that you know will whack somebody for you like that. There'll be a Jack Ruby or a Sirhan. Just trick a guy, figure out what you got to say to that guy to get that guy to run up on that dude and shoot him in the stomach.
I mean, if you put a gun to somebody's head and you tell them that if they don't do this, we're going to kill you and your family, that's it. Pretty much you got them, especially
sometimes,
you know, like in the movies when they show someone a picture of their family and they show them a picture of their house or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I know where you live. I know.
I think it's more than that. I think it's guys that you can tell that they're going to do a good thing and they're going to go down in history and they're going to live in infamy, like for their own personal gain. Like, you're talking about people that are so dumb, you're willing to, you're gonna lose the rest of your life because someone's telling you to go shoot Bobby Kennedy, and you're going to do it in a restaurant in front of everybody. It was a hotel.
That was in Chicago, right?
No, it was in L.A. We actually did Fear Factor in the very hotel where he was shot, because the hotel eventually shut down. I don't know how long after the assassination, but when we were there, they would rent it out for television shows. It's just like weird place, man. You'd walk through the kitchen where he got shot. Like, he got shot in the kitchen, or they bring him into the kitchen?
Probably brought him in. I think it was in like the convention part where they were giving a speech.
Whoo!
Meeting hall or something.
And that guy swears that he didn't kill him, and but listen, but play that. Okay. Play that that Kennedy speech.
It's actually like a 20-minute speech. This is just, I think this is the main highlight we're hopefully looking for.
Yeah, that's good.
I am not asking your newspaper.
You get it.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you had just heard that, if someone else was saying that instead of Kennedy, if someone else was saying those very things in front of you about how they have an open budget, their findings are all concealed, they're a tightly knit group that combines the military and science and all, you'd be like, what? Yeah. Are you on Sam Tripoli's podcast this week? Are you on Tinfoil Hat? You know, what are you doing with this wacky thought?
What do you think?
Wouldn't think that would be the president. He's talking about secret society. He's talking about the military-industrial complex. He's talking about all the gears that are in play, all the pieces that are in play that are making money and causing war and deciding what information people should and shouldn't have and what overreach, they're going to put into action.
He's foreshadowing everything.
Episode number 2393. Joe Rogan questions why Epstein's powerful connections remain protected and the truth stays hidden.
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
Well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, if you're state-funded, you're funded by Israel, and Israel's funded by America, and, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so her tits are juggling around. While
he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing. He was fishing for nerds, and I think he caught a lot of nerds in that net. There's a lot of those 100%. Guys that wound up going to that island. They probably thought, this is great. We get to party.
Nothing's free.
And they probably felt like they were rock stars because they get to hang out with the intellectual elite on an island with a guy who's just a billionaire philanthropist who's eccentric, who just loves women. He's a professed bachelor. And it all seemed too good to be true.
It's so true.
Because it was.
Yeah.
So I think he was an asset. Whether or not it was for the Mossad strictly or Israel strictly or the United States strictly, whether it was a CIA thing, whatever, I don't know. But I think it was probably a part of a blackmail compromise effort
Yeah.
Because those guys, there's a fucking dirty secret about these people that are in Congress, and they party. Okay, they're regular guys, and regular women, and they're in their 30s or 40s or whatever they are, and every now and then they do coke, and they get drunk, and they
Human beings.
Remember that DC madam that had a whole book of people, and then she wound up committing suicide? She said, "I'm not suicidal," and
See ya.
yeah. Because there's probably a lot like that.
Fuck
And those kind of honeypot operations, they let these freaks know, like, hey, you're going to be safe with me. Charlie will take care of everything. Look, Bill Clinton used to come here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to go to the
And
island.
that's a big endorsement. It's like presidents were here, so it must be a secure area.
Exactly.
I can get
we
down.
are on the island with Bill. This is fine.
And
We're
all these
fine.
girls show up, and you're like, well, this is Christmas in July.
Bill is really interested in string theory. He'd like to talk to you about string theory. So you're sitting down there having cocktails while Bill Clinton's getting a massage from some girl who's rubbing her tits against the back of his head while she's massaging him.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's really interesting. Hey, I'm kind of tired. I'm gonna take a nap.
Another thing about black holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they all thought that it was this lovely exchange of powerful people and brilliant people. And then they were just getting dirt on all of them. Guys cheating on their wives, guys, whether knowingly or unknowingly, having sex with underage girls.
Everybody
And
wants to be.
Maybe some guys, that was their thing.
Sure.
Because it seemed like with Epstein, that was his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I don't think there's any evidence to either. I think it's all been. I don't think there was collected with that plea deal, and I don't think there's any list that's going to point to. There's no smoking gun. That's
I
all
don't know
been-
about that.
I think it's all been taken care of. I think that it's. I think you could open up every file.
But that's the truth. Why did they have all those files? Why did they parade around with these binders?
Because
and
a
say,
lot of-
do you remember those
Yeah.
photo ops that they said? Like, look, they did like a thing. We have the Epstein files right here,
Right.
and they had binders. Like, what kind of political theater is that? If you don't really have the Epstein
It
files,
was
like,
probably
what is
theater. And what I mean by that is I think like if they are keeping something quiet, it's because it's video of underage girls or it's video of the victims who don't want that to be out there. And the Justice Department cannot make that public. They cannot bring that to Congress. That's all sealed for their privacy, right?
Well, that is the argument, but then they're saying now that there are no files. They're saying there's no video.
I believe that. Don't you?
I don't know. I think they have video. I think if you've got an island and you want compromise on people, you can't just have hearsay.
I would say I would agree.
I watched him fuck that girl. Let's sue him. No, that's not how it works. You have to have video, and then you have to show it to the guy. Like, Mr. Clinton, have a seat.
Yeah. But I would agree with that, except for I think if there is video, that's somewhere in the archives of an intelligence agency. That's not getting out. And I think when he had that plea deal in 2008, he got tipped off, remember? And when the feds or whoever, when I think it was the Florida Police Department came to kind of collect all the evidence in Palm Beach, those computers weren't there anymore. So all that shit was scrubbed. All that shit was taken out. So... And part of a plea deal is you don't collect evidence. There is no evidence. When you have a plea deal, nobody is collecting any evidence. You understand? Right. So it's not like we're going to collect evidence. No. The part of the plea deal is we are not. This investigation is over. You plead, you do your time in this jail where you can go out and play golf during the day, but you have to come back at night.
He was under home arrest. He would only have to go there like a couple days a week.
Right. He'd have to go to the county jail in Palm Beach
He'd have to check
during the day. Right. So that's what I'm saying is I think all that shit
I think he did like weekends. I think he did like weekends in the jail.
Man,
I'm not kidding. I think they allowed him to work.
Money talks, baby.
It's not just money talks, it's influence. And the guy who was the arresting sheriff was told this guy was intelligence. Yeah, that's what he was told. So I would assume that guy's telling the truth because he's a sheriff. He's got no reason to lie, or whoever he was.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of super powerful people that are very, very, very wealthy, and they have the ability to say whether or not things get out.
Episode number 1510. Joe Rogan and guests discuss Navy pilots chasing a UFO that sparked Pentagon investigations.
The TikTok craft or Tic Tac craft, goddamn
TikTok. TikTok.
Can't get away from that word. The Tic Tac craft that was spotted off San Diego, it performed something spectacular in terms of its ability to go from the surface of the water to 60,000 feet in how long?
So less than a second, but there's actually more to it. There was a craft. Remember, I was talking with Commander Fravor before this was public.
Yeah.
There was a craft under the water too. The Tic Tac would drop from 60,000 feet is what they're saying, 60 to 80, but that's the scan volume of the Spy 1 radar. So everybody I've talked with said they were coming from above. They were coming from outer space, dropping down within a second and stopping on a dime and then making the movements Commander Fravor saw, like inside of a glass. Then he said to me in our first talk ever, I'll never forget this, because I'm talking to a fighter pilot and I got to talk fighter pilot, and I don't, and he says to me, it noticed me. And I go, what do you mean it noticed you? And he says, as I was descending rapidly to engage it, it turned its nose and began to intelligently mirror my movements, came right up by me, and he says, faster than you can see, you can't even see a bullet leave a gun. No, it just, bam, shot off. He goes, we don't have anything like that. I wish we did. We don't. Whatever propels that is not a reactionary propulsion system.
Meaning it's not pushing something off the back to get it to go forward.
Like everything
like
else.
Fire and explosions.
It's a field propulsion. Yeah, like anything else we know, you got to have something going back to go forward. Rockets, we're still using the same ones from back in the day. This thing instantaneously, without effects of inertia, can move. Now, and that distortion, that's exactly how Bob described these things would work or do work in his opinion. So Commander Fravor got to see it. Now, and these incursions, by the way, look, there's stuff George reports on. There's a lot he doesn't. As a filmmaker myself, people tell me stories all the time. These incursions, it's not a rarity. These are happening to this day. I just heard about one in Guam. Incursions over high security airspace over our weapons systems. And in Guam, there was just recently an incursion. The Pantex facility with the igloos where we hold our nuclear weapons and stuff like that, there are incursions over these. So to George's point, the reason why maybe all of this is secret is not because we can't handle it, people flip out. Maybe we just want to make sure we fucking get this tech first because it's a game changer.
Now, let's talk about the people that have tried to debunk this and why they're off. Because they've made some debunking claims about some of these videos and about the technology that was used to track these things. That's incorrect. Where they don't really understand what they're debunking.
Right.
So please explain that, because that's one of the things that people are immediately going to go to. They're going to go, well, Mick West has already debunked it. And I've read the stuff that he says. It's mental gymnastics to try to explain it the way he's explaining it without recognition of the fact that these things were actively blocking radar. These things were actively blocking tracking systems. These were physical crafts. This is not like a bird.
No.
Or so,
It's
like a lot of the
impossible.
wacky theories that he has are like, I wonder, it's real weird, like that a smart man can make such really bizarre conclusions. Very weird. Almost like someone wants him to do those.
Sure. I mean, look, it's so exciting that we're seeing something and the government saying, okay, these are UFOs. We have not identified them. They have propulsion techniques that we don't have. And we're just talking about the videos.
Let's talk about the debunking, though.
Okay.
Talk about the debunking and what his claims are in the debunking.
Okay, so one that I recently attacked because it was so ridiculous is he was saying that the Go Fast video, which is this, object that goes along in a straight line, one of the 3 videos that was released. He said what was probably a bird. That was his first theory.
Let's pull up the Go Fast video.
Yeah. I mean, I recently went deep into talking with Boeing experts who work on these FLIR pods. They're telling me how they work, what they can capture. Why
Explain what a FLIR pod is.
A forward-looking infrared. So basically on fighter planes, you have a camera.
So here's the video. We're pulling it up right here.
Sure, that's mounted. And it's essentially recording in thermal imagery. These things are, this is not Instagram. These things are weapons systems that are highly trained to be able to accurately represent spatial awareness and to be able to target enemy combatants. This is not an iPhone, an Instagram. These are weapons for us. So out of the 3 videos, if we just look at this one, Although I like the Tic Tac one with Commander Fravor and I like the gimbal one. Those are awesome. This one gives us very little information. But the idea that this would be a bird, if you talk to anybody that uses these pods, you can't pinpoint on a bird. You can't lock a weapon system on a freaking bird.
Well, look how fast it's going too.
Well, here's what's so interesting is everybody can debate speed.
So this is where it's locked in on it.
Right.
So the weapon system is locked in on this thing and it's tracking it now.
Right. And they got real excited when they locked it because they said boxed a moving target, right? So here's the deal though. Out of anything I could say about this video, because there's not a lot of information in there, what I can say is that object you're seeing is colder than the surface of the ocean. Now, I looked up the surface of the ocean temperature at that location at that time because we had the information. It was like 65 degrees. What propulsion system? So a bird is about 100 and let's say 5 degrees, like a seagull. Seagulls can go maybe 15 miles an hour. I don't know how fast they can go. But they wouldn't be colder than the ocean. They'd be hypothermic and dead. It cannot be a bird because what we're seeing is a colder object than the surface of the water. That's why you're seeing it white.
And how fast is it going?
That's under debate. There's different
interpretations.
Yeah. So I'll give you one interpretation about 240 miles an hour. Some people say, and then they can argue, well, the fastest bird in a nosedive could go that fast. So back up. We have an object that is colder than the surface of the ocean. That immediately gets rid of the bird theory because a bird would be hypothermic and drop like a paperweight into the water. It cannot fly at that. So that's the piece of information I would attack that debunking with.
But this video, when you're watching that, if it is going 200 miles an hour, that's not outside of what's possible with spacecraft or aircraft or just planes.
Right, but it's cold.
I understand that.
That's pretty cool.
But it's very interesting. But it's not moving anywhere near as fast as the Tic Tac.
No. This is just something, because this is part, and George can tell you, this was part of a much bigger series of events. So like the gimbal craft itself, that's another debunking thing. They said it's a plane banking away and you're seeing it through thermal. First of all, talk with the pilot. Not fucking so.
This is the gimbal.
Yeah, the gimbal.
He's pulling it up right now. And how fast is this thing supposed to be going?
The speed, from what I recall, wasn't registered on the radar. It's not that it's going fast. If you talk with the pilots, it was rotating. It was spinning like a top, and for like 11 hours without refueling. I mean, the thing was just sitting out there. This is an occurrence that happened over a course of many, many weeks. Now, when it rotates like that, the debunking theory is that you're seeing a plane bank. So as if our military doesn't know what another plane is. Other planes look very different when you see them through thermal. This thing was self-rotating, and I just did an interview.
And how fast is this, or rather, how warm is this thing supposed to be? Is this supposed to actually be hot?
I am unaware.
Because you're looking at it through thermal, right?
Yeah, I'm unaware of the specifics of that one when it comes to heat. All I know is that it is self-actuating. It is not something that is a glare or flare of a heat signature, making it look like it's turning. The actual craft is self-actuating.
And what is that halo around it?
That's just an artifact of the FLIR thermal. It's not.
The premise that the U.S. government would tell you, all right, look, we're going to release these videos reluctantly. Lou Elizondo is the guy that got them released, and then the U.S. government formally released them a couple of months ago. The idea that the U.S. government would release it, the Pentagon says these are unidentified. If it was a bird or a jet engine, the pilots would not have the kind of reaction that they had that you can hear on the audio.
Yeah.
Our government does not tell members of Congress. The Pentagon doesn't go to the Senate Intelligence Committee, show them those videos and say, yeah, it's unidentified if it isn't. And, the reaction of the pilots, the fact that they were forced to release it to begin with, suggests there really is unidentified.
Why do you think they've addressed it? Why do you think that they have addressed the fact they're studying these things? Why not just continue denying it?
I think they were forced to. And some props to Tom DeLonge. I know you guys had a pretty spirited conversation when he was here, but he created an organization. Lou Elizondo, who ran that program, came forward and brought with him those videos. I saw them 2 days after Lou Elizondo stepped on a stage with Tom and said, I was in charge of the program. He and Chris Mellon have been sort of the engineers of getting that story into the New York Times. That changed everything. As I said, the last 2.5 years, everything has turned on its head. The New York Times covers the story. The result is other media covered as well. They've been ignoring it forever, and that allowed people who keep these secrets. That pressure meant that people in Congress started asking questions. 2 days after the story came out, I interviewed Senator Harry Reid, who was the one who got the money to create that program that became ATIP. And he said his phone had been ringing off the hook from other members of Congress who are now suddenly interested. I didn't know there was a program, they're telling him. How do we learn more about this? It started a series of closed-door briefings on Capitol Hill that continue to this day. The pilots, like Dave Fravor, were hauled before Congress, first in front of the staff of the Senate Intelligence and then Senate Armed Services, and then the elected members, these senators who get briefed on it, and they were impressed, and they wanted more pilots to come in. So it's been going on for 2.5 years, and 2 weeks ago, about a month ago now, the culmination of it, Senator Marco Rubio, who is now the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, drops this bill. And it's the budget for the intelligence budget for the next year. And he includes a UFO provision in there. Congress wants to have a mechanism set up where we get regular briefings from the Pentagon on UFOs. That's an astonishing change of events. It's because of the media pressure and then congressional interest. It made it more acceptable for everybody to pursue the subject matter. It's kind of out of the shadows. And the Pentagon has reacted in fits and starts. So sometimes, as they said to the New York Times, that program ended. Had nothing to do with UFOs. At first they said it did, then they said it didn't. They've admitted Lou Elizondo worked on the program, then they said he didn't. They've said that the OSAP, which is the other program, the mother program that became ATIP, that had nothing to do with UFOs, but it did. So they continue to sort of lie and obfuscate and muddy the waters. But the fact is that there's too much momentum from media and Congress and the public to hide this anymore.
Episode 2314, How Put-Off discusses UFO crash retrievals, secret materials, and why disclosure remains so complex.
Jail.
Episode number 2211. Michael Schellenberger connects government disinformation networks to UFO cover-ups and secret narratives.
Here's the crazy thing.
Episode number 1949. Russell Brand and Joe Rogan expose how corporate power hides behind the veil of progressive politics.
When we talk about what are the ideologies that drive us, the ideology of progress, this is why I have sometimes am skeptical, not about technology, the mastery and the geniuses that work in that field, but how technology and science as a subset of our economic ideology can create exactly the conditions that you're describing and that journalist has exposed. That if your ideology permits that, then what kind of ideology is that? What kind of unconsciousness are we living in? It's not an awakened culture, and all of the discourse around, like, you know, how we treat one another as individuals and progressivism culturally in domestic territories. Hey, people should be allowed to do this and that. It's a nonsense if that is permitted. Not only permitted, required. It's a requirement. You cannot have that economic model without that price being paid. And as a culture, whether it's me as an individual or our entire culture, we've accepted that contract. We've accepted those terms.
Well, we have in some areas of our life for sure. You know, hopefully people haven't done that in their interpersonal, intimate relationships, but we certainly have in the way we communicate with others. We've certainly accepted like very bizarre ways of communicating online, and sometimes that bleeds out into real life, like where someone talks to people in the real world as if they're on Twitter and they get bashed. Yeah. Like you see that sometimes. I think it's a very strange time where I don't think people have a lot of faith right now in institutions, and I don't think they have a lot of faith in authority. I don't think they really believe that there is someone who is wiser than them, that has a grand plan, that's logical, that's workable, where they're looking out for all of us. So I think there's like a feeling of chaos that exists today that I don't think has ever existed in my life like this before. Even back during like the Bush administration, when everybody thought Bush was a moron, they still thought there's a good cabinet, and they're following all the checks and balances, even though they're probably extracting too much money, and there's probably a lot of cronyism and a lot of undercover deals and a lot of like no bid contracts with Halliburton and that kind of nonsense. He still thought they have things pretty under control. It's a very solid institution. Nobody believes that now. You see Pete Buttigieg and fucking Kamala Harris and Biden can't get a sentence out. You're like, this is madness. These people are utter fools, and these are the people that are running everything, and these are the people that are getting us on the brink of war with Russia. And I don't have any faith in them, and I think most people don't.
I think you're right. And with the that era of the Cheney, Bush, Wolfowitz, Rumsfeld, it felt like, these are the Death Star bods. What's happening is there's this risen up military-industrial complex, Rand Foundation ideologues from the Republican right, who were the sanctioned baddies back in those days, are trying to profit from the colonization of the Middle East. It's part of a new American project. We sort of understood it, but from where I'm coming from, it was somehow recognizable, and 1 million people went on a march to prevent that war taking place because they knew there were no weapons of mass destruction, which we now know to be the truth. And as you say, now the figures that are in that place are sort of posing as the good guys, like affable and avuncular presidents and sort of friendly people of, like, that are across the identitarian spectrum that's meant to feel inclusive and progressive.
They're wrapping themselves up with progressive identity politics and then promoting a war.
Yes,
at the same time. It's very wild.
Yeah, it feels like a mask and a veil. Like, this is what's interesting for me is as we navigate this new and emergent space of being able to present counter narratives, and continually, like all of us now, have like experienced, you're a right wing conspiracy theorist, you've joined the alt-right, you're a gateway to this, the dark web, all of that language that grows up around it. Like, this, and I've heard you speak about this obviously a lot, but the truth is that who isn't sympathetic? Anyone that's got a family or loves someone is sympathetic to the idea that people are going to have various types of identity around culture and religious expression and racial expression, and this is a conversation that the whole culture has to be involved in together. What my issue is, I don't think they believe in that stuff. I don't think they care. I don't think that they are creating an agenda to advance the interests of vulnerable people. I think they are using it as a distraction and a veil in order to carry on with the same kind of corporate and financial interests that have always determined what the establishment is. And if there's one thing we can point to in our lifetime, it's that the liberal establishment has become co-opted by the same forces that traditionally we regarded the right to have been co-opted by: military industrial complex, financial industry. And there's palpable evidence for that. And in order to not acknowledge that that transition's taken place, they're able to keep the cultural conversation going. We care about your right to express yourself and your identity. That's a way of not acknowledging we're just the same. We're pro-war. And now when there's that war, you know, like Jimmy Dore and all those guys did that anti-war march in Washington or whatever, it's like 5,000 people go. Now, I don't know if that's because of the last few years and what the pandemic's done to people accumulating and gathering crowds, or whether people have lost the belief and faith that people can have any impact on politics anymore. There's just now this immersive sense of apathy, this, as you say, loss of trust in institutions and authority. But something extraordinary has happened when people that say that we're the peace and love party are the party that are advocating for war, won't include some of the complex conditions that have led to this current crisis, which there's clearly a case for, like, you know, NATO's infringement on Russian territory, the 2014 coup. I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but like, it's extraordinary that those conversations don't happen.
Right.
It's like, actually, like that post-Trump and post-pandemic, everything sort of enters into that template. There are certain things you're not allowed to say now. If you sort of say, were Russia in any way provoked? Is there any legitimacy to this, to their military, to their military actions from their perspective? That's the same as saying, oh, I don't think you should take certain medications, or maybe masks aren't necessary. And people aren't. It doesn't seem that the culture is learning. It doesn't seem that as the evidence is evolving, that people are saying, oh wow, look, the stuff you were being told 2 years ago now, the things you couldn't say online 2 or 3 years ago, now there's evidence for that. In fact, I've bought documentation in case the conversation went in this direction, Joe. In my new position as a legitimate investigative journalist, I've got actual papers that I can show you, from conspiracy to fact.
Episode number 2383, Joe Rogan and Ian Edwards question if NASA's true mission has shifted from science to surveillance.